Wow. What is this slop?
You've known me for years.
Mate, I think it's the end of a beautiful friendship.
In your color.
Well, that was first soda water.
Mate,
So like when you're going backwards through time, are you like living all of your life backwards? Like, oh, like all your time. Oh my God.
Critical of the Democratic Party right now is because I literally just left it, just like a lot of other people. I was a bleeding heart liberal like all of you. I mean, blue hair and everything. I mean, believe me, I have plenty of pictures proving that I was all in. If you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said there is no way in hell I will ever vote for Donald Trump. But let me tell you what changed my mind. The big moment for me was when the
When it did 25% tariffs on everybody?
the left started trying to push this like Nazi, Hitler, fascism narrative that they're trying to push right now. Like what y'all actually did is made a lot of us really go research Trump even harder. And we started to realize that a lot of things that you guys had shown us about Trump and things that he had said were taken way out of context. A lot of us started noticing a pattern where you guys were showing us like little 10-second clips of a 10-minute conversation that did not reflect the entirety of that conversation at all. So that was number one. And then around Thanksgiving, all of a sudden you guys are telling us that it would be better for us to sit at home and spend the holidays with no one than it would be to go home to your family who voted for Trump. When I heard that, I was like, okay, now y'all are wildin', because you cannot tell me that it is better for your mental health to sit at home.
If you like my videos and want to help me make more of them,
The YouTubers who backed a genocide. All right, let's go to 20 minutes. What do we got?
לא? למה?
לא מעניין אותי, אני הייתי עד 7 באוקטובר האמנתי בשלום ובשיח ובדו-שיח. אחרי זה הבנתי שאין עם מי לדבר, כולם שם מחבלים, לצערי הרב.
אבל ילדים, כאילו.
לא, אני אומרת בכנות, לא מעניין אותי.
There is no such thing as Palestinians. They're Arabs who have many countries to flee to and nobody wants them to. But if we do call them Palestinians, their parents use them as human shields to gain sympathy. The natural instinct of a Jewish mother is to protect her child. Palestinian women do not have that.
these people know that they're on camera and that these remarks will be posted on the internet or shared on the
Holy Christ. Oh, sorry.
mainstream news. This is normal to them. This is normal in their society, which is a testament to the fact that their society is not normal. It's typically bad form to cite street interviews as being some meaningful indicator of widespread attitudes. But again, with Israel, it's just different. Not just because these attitudes align perfectly with the wider Israeli polling data, but also because it's almost impossible to find anyone in Israel saying anything else. The amount of truly
I don't feel like watching this whole hour-long video. If you want to say that Israelis have problematic would be the soft word, but unhinged attitudes towards Palestinians, that's an incredibly fair argument to make. They do have unhinged attitudes. The only problem is that as soon as you say Palestinians have unhinged attitudes towards Israelis, you go, oh, well, hold on, we got to look at the context. Why do you think they'd feel that way? Okay, fine. I mean, like, why do you think Israelis feel that way? Yes, these are two peoples who have been fighting for a long fucking time that have unhinged feelings about each other. But like, where do these ideas or thoughts come from? Isn't that, but you only ask that question when it's brown people, or the right kind of brown people, I guess. And then you just never ask for their side. It's so cringe. But I don't know. I don't want to criticize this part too heavily if I'm not going to watch the whole thing.
I am here with Jonah Goldberg.
Oh, he's doing video. Good job.
Jonah, thanks for joining me.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, Trump 2.0, how's it going?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny.
50%. 50 what? 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum? We use that stuff, don't we? Don't we get like 60% of our aluminum and steel from Canada? 50%? Hello? Can we roll back the Trump presidential power here? Like, I think we need a slightly higher margin to set an emergency at the border. Okay? Jesus. Like, I think we need an act of Congress or something to declare an emergency. Holy fuck.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple points about that. One, I think bringing up the Pompeo security stuff, John Bolton, the others as well.
Did you read the whole truth sound about Trump? It's worse than any schizo email. He doubles down on invading Canada. Oh, I was going to answer your question before you finished, because I thought you were going to talk about the other unhinged truth that he did this morning, which was that he thought it should be illegal to boycott Tesla. Oh. What? What? What do you want? What are you looking for? Meow. Meow, meow. Based on Ontario, Canada placing a 25% tariff on electricity in the U.S., I've instructed my Secretary of Commerce on an additional 25% tariff to 50% on all steel and, I'm going to call it aluminium from now on. Fuck America, all right? On all steel and aluminium coming to the U.S. from Canada, one of the highest tariffing nations anywhere in the world now. Did you know that? Anywhere in the world. This will go into effect tomorrow morning, March 12th. Also, Canada must immediately drop their anti-American farmer tariff of 250% to 390%. All of these provisions are in the USMCA or whatever. These are all things you already agreed to in your trade agreement. Also, excuse me, I thought we were tariffing because of fentanyl. Why are we talking about tariffs because of counter tariffs? That sounds like economic policy. I will shortly be declaring a national emergency on electricity within the threatened area. This will allow the U.S. to quickly do what has to be done to alleviate this abusive threat from Canada. What does that mean? Wait, what? We'll do what has to be done. Are we going to go steal their electricity? What? What's the Republican steelman on this? Republicans just don't care anymore. They're just in fantasy land. They either don't talk about it or they say it's part of some like broader plan. I don't even know. Fox News yesterday apparently like wasn't even really covering it. To Republicans, conservatives, and all great Americans, Elon Musk is putting it on the line in order to help our nation, and he's doing a fantastic job. But the radical left lunatics, as they often do, are trying to illegally and collusively boycott Tesla. It's collusion now to boycott one of the world's great automakers and Elon's baby in order to attack and do harm to Elon and everything he stands for. They tried to do it to me at the 2024 presidential ballot box, but how did that work out? In any event, I'm going to buy a brand new Tesla tomorrow morning as a show of confidence and support for Elon Musk, a truly great American. This motherfucker absolutely does not know how to drive. Are presidents even allowed to drive? Are presidents allowed to drive? Are presidents allowed to drive? Get in, Jack.
I'm the head of Ford. I'm not in it. No, we let him drive himself. Sucker's quick.
I miss him. I just want him back. I just want him back.
Drive. How does it feel? Would you buy one of these?
I would.
How does it feel to be behind the wheel, sir?
It feels great. I tell you what, these electric vehicles. Now I don't know if there's a stopwatch, but I think we're going 0 to 60 in about 4.3. 4.4? Right. 4 flat? Well, yeah.
Imagine he floors it and dies. I'm just kidding. Mr. President, no.
Mr. President, how fast were you going?
Well, okay, I'm just going to step on it. I'll come off at 80 miles an hour. You'll see what it is, okay? You ready?
Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question on Israel before you drive
No,
away?
you can't. Not unless you get in front of the car as I step on it. I'm only teasing.
No.
Okay, here we go.
Where is he? Where'd he go?
You ready?
My president.
All right, our best test driver ever. I think that was
How do we fuck the messaging up? What's even happening? Never mind. Like, I'm trying to think, like, messaging wise, because I'm just reading this thing, right? Ford's new F-150 pickup truck during a visit to Detroit, right? The idea of refitting a city to do manufacturing again, but it's for electric vehicles. So it's like a union of the past manufacturing to future technology and all that, you know, good stuff. Just kidding. We're going to mine coal again. Hell yeah. Yes. Coal. Yes. Press conference right now. We can.
And if you look at
present the American people.
Our favorite propaganda lady.
Ave Maria piena di.
And we were just briefly listening in there to this prayer house.
Than 100 of our nation's leading CEOs. In fact, it's the largest attendance ever for this event because business leaders are so eager and encouraged by President Trump's return to Washington. This follows President Trump's roundtable yesterday with the Technology CEO Council here at the White House, where he met with key leaders in the technology industry. And last night, President Trump also held an official swearing-in ceremony in the Oval Office for Sean Curran, who is now the 28th Director of the United States Secret Service. Sean demonstrated unbelievable bravery under gunfire in Butler, Pennsylvania this past July when an assassin tried to kill President Trump. As someone who got to know Sean personally throughout the campaign last year, I can say unequivocally that there is nobody better suited for this important role. And following the confirmation of Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRomer last night, the Senate has now confirmed 21 of President Trump's well-qualified cabinet-level nominees, far outpacing the previous administration. And looking ahead, tomorrow, the president...
What does that mean? Did Biden just not have any cabinet secretaries? Nobody got... What? I mean, Trump, I'm pretty sure Trump has had more, like, secretary heads of departments because of how many people fucking quit and got fired. Jesus.
Will welcome the Taoiseach Micheál Martin of Ireland for the annual White House Shamrock ceremony. And Thursday, President Trump will welcome the NATO Secretary General for a working meeting and lunch. On the economy, February's jobs report was good news for America, particularly our manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector gained 10,000 new jobs in just 1 month under President Trump. This rebound was led by the automobile sector.
That's not a number to brag about. What are we doing, dude?
We saw 9,000 new auto jobs created already. That is the most auto jobs added to the economy in 15 months. This was a complete turnaround from the Biden administration.
In 15 months. That's an unbelievable achievement. Congratulations, Mr. President. The most added in 15 months. In 15 months. Oh my God, unbelievable.
We were losing an average of 9,000 manufacturing jobs per month last year. Reuters is out with a report that a number of companies are now looking at expanding their presence or bringing their businesses into America because of President Trump's policies. And just moments ago, before coming out here, I saw another report by Reuters revealing that Merck has opened a $1 billion facility at its North Carolina site. This is just the latest pharmaceutical company to boost its U.S. manufacturing in lieu of President Trump's tariffs. This announcement follows Eli Lilly's plans to invest at least $27 billion to build 4 new manufacturing plants here in the United States. And Pfizer has also said it's considering moving their manufacturing overseas right here to the United States of America. As the president has said over and over again, when we purchase products made in the USA, the profits stay here, the revenue stays here, and most importantly, the jobs stay here.
Fixed pie, remember, that's that fixed pie idea. As long as somebody else is winning, it means there has to be somebody losing, which means we need to be the only winners so that we can never be the losers, right? That, like, what she just said there is just, I wonder how many, like, econ professors have killed themselves over the past month listening to like Trump economics. Like, why would we do business with somebody else when we could only do business with ourselves? Wouldn't that be better? So that way people aren't like literally stealing from us.
Purchase products made in the
Like, imagine tomorrow Walmart announces, from now on, we are only selling products to employees. Because why the fuck would we let these random dipshit ass customers come in and take advantage of our wonderful store when we could just have our own employees buying everything? That'd be great.
USA. The profits stay here, the revenue stays here, and most importantly, the jobs stay here. And despite the globalist mainstream media's attempts to worry consumers, President Trump will not repeat the trend of past American presidents who broke their promises to the American public and smiled while they stuck a knife in the back of American workers and shipped their jobs overseas.
That is true. Trump is definitely keeping all of his fucking promises to fucking crash this economy with no survivors. Holy shit.
Our country has lost more than 5 million jobs and more than 90,000 factories due to devastating globalization over the last 3 decades alone. North Carolina lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs, including 60% of its furniture manufacturing jobs in the years following NAFTA. And in Michigan, globalist policies destroyed 200...
In the years following NAFTA? I'm sorry, I don't actually... Was NAFTA negotiated under Clinton? How old is that? What? In 94. Thank you. Okay. Jesus.
150,000 jobs, including 40% of the auto industry, which again, we know is clawing...
What is this sign set up? I just want enough purple signs so that I can research my fucking blue track, so I can set my next furnace shit up with blue track instead of red track, okay? That's what I want. I just need like 300 of these, okay? That's why I'm semi-handcrafting them. Suck my dick.
Back because of President Trump's action already. These are harrowing statistics that represent countless towns and families who have been completely destroyed. But the America Last globalist era is ending under President Trump. He will no longer allow our country and our workers, our hard-working American families, to be ripped off. On another very important issue for the president, he continues to work hard to secure the border. If you missed it yesterday, CBP launched an enhanced home mobile app with a new feature, the Intent to Depart, which offers unlawfully present aliens or those aliens whose parole has been revoked an orderly and defined process to notify the U.S. government of their intent to depart the country. The CBP home app strengthens our mission to secure the border and provides illegal aliens with a straightforward way to leave now before facing much harsher consequences later. A new report from Bloomberg just found that the number of aliens trying to reach our country by traveling through the jungle to Central America dropped a whopping 99% last month. And this follows the incredible news that illegal border crossings plummeted last month as well, down 94% at our southern border from last February under the Biden administration. As President Trump made clear during his historic address to Congress, we must finish this job and continue to carry out the largest deportation campaign in American history. And that is why the president fully endorses the continuing resolution that is before Congress and was negotiated by Speaker Johnson. He is encouraging all Republicans to vote yes on this clean...
I think... Hold on, I'm thinking if I would retire or if I would just do video games and history streams. If the Democrats support the continuing resolution without any input at all, as in they are just like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and vote for it for the America or whatever. I think that might be my red line for the Democrat Party. I might be like, all right, I'm out, guys. It's been fun. This is fucking retarded. Unless it's like a really good, super good reason for without even having input on it. You should make Trump own that statement. I have a popular mandate from the people. You have a majority in Congress. They can't get it through the Senate. So make them own it. You have the popular mandate. Rule with it. Go ahead.
TR, which freezes funding at current levels and will prevent the Democrats from getting their long-awaited government shutdown. Voting against this TR will hurt the American people and kill the incredible momentum that President Trump has built over the past 51 days.
Thank God.
And lastly, before I take questions, I would like to commend the Washington
Whatever
Post,
this
who I
momentum
believe
is,
in the room
stop
today.
it.
According to a new report from Axios, the Washington Post is overhauling their
And it
newsroom
is momentum. Remember.
structure. It appears that the mainstream media, including the Post, is finally learning that having disdain for more than half of the country who supports this president does not help you sell newspapers. It's not a very good business model. And that's why we have people in our new media seat. And today we have Sargar Anetti, who is the host of Breaking Points, a popular political YouTube news and podcast show.
Wait, is that really his name? I thought it was Sagar.
And today we does not help you sell newspapers. It's not a very good business model. And that's why we have people in our new media seat. And today we have Sargar Anetti, who is the host of Breaking Points, a popular political YouTube news and podcast show that is
Oh my God, bro.
racked up nearly 1 billion views on YouTube, several hundred million podcast downloads since its launch in June 2021. He's also a former member of the White House Correspondents Association, but is now a part of the thriving independent.
How do they fit in their minds that we were America last, a country in decline, with the fact that we maintained the status as the richest, most powerful country on earth? I don't know, bro. It's unbelievable. Like, imagine you're Jewish and you're looking at America, right? And Israel's the promised land. Israel is nothing. Israel is such a fucked... Isn't it described as like a land of milk and honey? And they literally had to fight wars in the north to bring water to their fucking deserted or desert, arid, no natural resource having fucking piece of shit strip of land. Meanwhile, the United States of America, every year we're discovering huge reserves of new resources. We got oil, we got rare earths, we got people and tons of land, and we got oceans, we got geographic advantage, we got... Jesus Christ.
Media, we're very happy to have you with us here today. Why don't you kick off our briefing? Thank you.
Really appreciate you having me, Caroline. A couple questions for you, if I may.
Couple questions. Okay. Is Trump more of a deep throat kind of guy, or...
First is first on the stock market. So currently it's the 25th anniversary today of the dot-com bubble crash. There's a lot of concern for a lot of Americans right now about the state of the economy. President Trump has refused to rule out a recession. Secretary Lutnick, however, has told us there will not be one. So can the White House just tell and assure Americans today that there's not going to be a recession?
Well, there's a lot to unpack.
You know what? I fucking hate Sager. I hate this motherfucker with all my heart, okay? That was a really good question, though. Good job, okay? No suck-ups, and it was a tough question. That was a critical question. I would have bet a lot of money with big odds against him ever asking a question like this. So good job.
Back there. So let me start by saying that, first of all, when it comes to the stock market, the numbers that we see today, the numbers we saw yesterday, the numbers we'll see tomorrow are a snapshot of a moment in time. And as President...
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, I don't like that answer. That's like you're going to show your parents your report card. Like, before you guys look at this, okay? This is just the quarter grades, all right? Remember, it's the semester ones that are the important ones, okay? It's just the quarter grades, all right? And we've only had like 2 assignments so far. So, you know, just so you know before you look at this, okay?
Numbers that we see today, the numbers we saw yesterday, the numbers we'll see tomorrow are a snapshot of a moment in time. And as President Trump has said, and I'm here to echo the remarks of this president of this White House, we are in a period of economic transition. We are in a period of transition from the mess that was created under Joe Biden in the previous administration. Joe Biden left this country in an economic disaster. Several statistics to point out. The delinquency rate on credit card loans increased 63% under Joe Biden, hitting a near 12-year high. Under Joe Biden, all net job growth went to foreign born.
Delinquency rate hit a 63% increase? Well, what was that? Was that down from during COVID when literally nobody was, or was that up from COVID when nobody was even fucking spending? What do you mean? I love COVID. God, COVID has just been so much fun. It's like, you want to make some crazy fucking stats? Let's go to fucking 2020, 2021, and let's see what we can manufacture. Whew.
Born Americans. Real wages declined by 1.5% under Joe Biden. And as we all know, and this administration continues to combat, prices soared more than 20% under Joe Biden because of his reckless spending and economic policies. So we are in a period of transition from that economic nightmare under a president who had no idea what he was doing, never held a private sector job in his life, into a golden age of American manufacturing under a businessman and a deal maker in chief.
Has Trump ever had a private sector job in his entire life? I thought Trump has always just been, not to be too Marxist here, but hasn't Trump always just been like an owner? Has he ever like been an employee? Hello?
And President Donald J. Trump, who will be implementing...
Except for he did work for McDonald's for one day. True. My bad. Okay.
Is implementing the formula that we know works. Look at President Trump's results in his first term. If people are looking for certainty, they should look at the record of this president. That's why the American people re-elected him back to this office. And look at everything that President Trump has already done and his team has already done in just 51 days. The massive efforts to deregulate, tax cuts, which we need Congress to pass the Trump economic agenda, the Trump tax cuts, which will unleash economic growth. And the president also addressed this directly, I will point out as well, when you look at what he said on Air Force One, and he said he wants the American people to have so much money in their pockets they don't even know what to do with it. That's the intent of this administration, and we're working very hard every day.
We're not going to know what to do with it because we're not going to be able to fucking buy anything.
On that goal.
Second question on the CR. So President Trump came out today in a primary challenge against Congressman Thomas Massie. Congressman Massie's been a supporter of DOGE. He's been a supporter of Make America Healthy Again. What kind of message is this White House sending against a congressman who's sticking up for principles that he's long held?
Jesus. These are tough questions.
In the chamber and voting against continuing resolution and spending.
I think the president has made...
And this is one of Trump's biggest, well, I say problems. I shouldn't say that. That's wrong. A lot of things that I call problems are just me like being like, oh, this is maybe like illegal or kind of authoritarian or whatever, but it's effective leadership, I guess. Yeah, but this Trump... No! Sorry, I wasn't supposed to. I just wasted the science that I just fucking spent all this time handcrafting. Hold on, just kidding. Trump, Yeah, this relentless witch hunting of everybody that doesn't 100% toe the line is Jesus.
Very clear that he believes it's critical for conservatives and Republicans and frankly all members of Congress to get behind this continuing resolution to keep the government funded. The president wants to continue the momentum that he has built over the last 51 days. In order to keep the government funded, we got to keep moving with these deportations, and he believes that everybody needs to get on board with this bill. He's been active in this process. He's been making calls to get this over the finish line, and we're urging every Republican and Democrats too to do what's right for the American public to prevent a government shutdown.
Just the last question here on Mahmoud Khalil. Does the administration believe that it needs to charge a green card holder with a crime to be eligible for deportation?
Well, in fact,
oh, that's also a good question. What? Sager with 3 banger questions all in a row. Good job. A+ for journalism. Damn.
Secretary Rubio reserves the right to revoke the visa of Mahmoud Khalil, and I'm glad you brought this up. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, the Secretary of State has the right to revoke a green card or a visa for individuals who serve or are adversarial to the foreign policy and national security interests of the United States of America. And Mahmoud Khalil
To the foreign policy, or, well, I mean, it was a little bit more specific than that, but okay.
was an individual who was given the privilege of coming to this country to study at one of our nation's
Are these good questions? It seems like it's just giving them the opportunity to keep using their same talking points. I mean, at the very least, we get to hear an answer like on the record addressing it. These are good. These are answers, or these are questions that should be asked. Even if they have a prepared answer, these are questions that the administration should have like a public stance on. So that makes sense.
finest universities and colleges, and he took advantage.
Remember, real quick, okay? When students come to the United States of America to study, okay, they're not the only ones that win. We win on that as well, okay? We also, it's good for us. Like, we get to take talent from around the world. Generally, these people stay here. Obviously, you know, these are some of your most productive workers or educated. Like, that's good for everybody involved.
Advantage of that opportunity, of that privilege, by siding with terrorists, Hamas terrorists who have killed innocent men, women, and children. This is an individual who organized group protests that not only disrupted college campus classes and harassed.
Like, this shouldn't even be in your mouth right now. Not only did he organize protests that disrupted class, excuse me, shut the fuck up. Speak to the law, okay? Speak to the law. If he broke a law, or if there's some provision of law you're citing, then speak to that. Don't give me this disrupted fucking classes. The fuck out of here. You guys don't even like college. Okay, fuck you.
Harassed Jewish American students and made them feel unsafe on their own college campus, but also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda, flyers with the logo of Hamas. That is what the behavior and activity that this individual engaged.
I really don't like the way that that law is structured, that you can theoretically, let's say that tomorrow Hamas comes into Israel and murders 1,000 innocent people. If you're on permanent resident status, if you've got a green card and you go and support Hamas tomorrow, that means you can be deported. But if the next day, let's say a bunch of IDF soldiers go into the Gaza Strip and they murder 1,000 Palestinian people, I can sit here and say, hooray, yes, Israel, and yes for the IDF. But since the IDF isn't a designated terror organization, that's okay. That's wildly stupid to me. The law either needs to be rewritten, or the law as it's written is probably just supposed to be for people that are like in high levels of coordination with international terrorist groups, like taking direction from or resources from. It's probably what it's supposed to be used for, not this bullshit.
And I have those flyers on my desk. They were provided to me by the Department of Homeland Security. I thought about bringing them into this briefing room to share with all of you, but I didn't think it was worth the dignity of this room to bring that pro-Hamas propaganda. But that's what this individual distributed on the campus of Columbia University. And this.
Did you see Hassan comparing himself to Martin Luther King and Bad Empanada to Malcolm X? Shut up. Don't make fun of. Don't say that. There's no way he said that.
Administration is not going to tolerate individuals having the privilege of studying in our country and then siding with pro-terrorist organizations that have killed Americans. We have a zero tolerance policy.
I mean, to be honest, I don't support terrorist supporters in my country, but yeah, you're right. This is the issue that I was kind of talking about yesterday. The issue is that we live in a strange world these days where non-state actors are also functioning sometimes as states. So you're in this very weird environment where you would think of a terrorist group as like a small, like a non-state group that, you know, functions like terrorists. But it's very strange when you have non-state actors like Hezbollah or Hamas, who are like also like governments, right? So it's like if you support the Palestinians in Gaza, you're almost kind of always supporting Hamas in a way. And then you're in a weird world. It's like, okay, I guess it's literally banned to support this state. Like, it's very strange, you know? I don't think that's, that's an antiquated phrasing or law, I think. When you start having terrorist groups that are essentially states as well, it doesn't work, I think.
For siding with terrorists, period. Peter Ducey.
Thank you, Caroline. So you said that the Dow dropping and dropping and dropping is a period of transition. You're sure nobody here at the White House shorted the Dow?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But is there any concern here that it's going to be harder to ask certain federal workers to retire if they look at their retirement accounts and they're getting robbed every day?
Well,
ooh, that's a decent question. Also, more immigrants is a larger pool of taxable individuals, which is probably one of the only realistic ways to get budget neutral. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up workers, because that's exactly who President Trump is looking out for with his America First trade policy. And
oh, you're not going to answer the question. Oh, okay. Good one.
Workers to retire if they look at their retirement accounts and they're getting robbed every day.
Well, I'm glad you brought up workers, because that's exactly who President Trump is looking out for with his America First trade policy and his America First economic agenda. And if you look at, there's great indication to be optimistic about where the economy stands. And the American people, investors, CEOs, small business owners, but most importantly workers, should bet on President Trump, because his tariff policies, what he envisions is reciprocity, fair trade practices where American workers are put first and are no longer ripped off by foreign countries all over this world.
President Trump says he's going to buy a Tesla today. Did he buy it? And when is the last time he drove a car?
That's a very good question. I have heard the president remark that he misses being able to drive, that luxury of driving his own vehicle, although the beast is nice, but he is going to be viewing a Tesla that is making its way to the White House complex now, I can confirm.
See, he
perhaps
doesn't
the
drive.
press pool today will have an opportunity to witness
Not
this
like God
very
Emperor
exciting
Biden.
moment later this afternoon. But Tesla is on its way here now, and we'll see if the president likes it when he checks it out.
So they're bringing him a Tesla to look at, and if he likes it, he's just going to buy it.
You know, he's
my face when my president, who also is part of the largest crypto scam in all of crypto history, is also doing fucking car commercials. He's going to be doing a car commercial as the president of the United States. Car commercials. Kill me.
And he's definitely going to buy one, but he'll take a look at it when it gets here later this
Full
afternoon.
retail?
Yes, full market price. Kelly.
Can we talk about Canada? What is the status of President Trump having a conversation with Mark Carney? We have seen the president use the term governor to refer to Justin Trudeau. Will that moniker also go to Mr. Carney going forward? And is the decision to increase the tariffs, is that based on a specific economic metric that he looked at? Is it impulse? How would you describe his reaction to Canada?
The president has not yet spoken to Mr. Carney, not since I checked, which was just moments ago. But certainly his phone is always open to leaders who wish to speak with him. As for the tariffs, the president made his position on this quite clear with the statement that he put out. And it was a retaliatory statement due to the escalation of rhetoric that we've seen out of Ontario, Canada. The president saw the Premier, Doug Ford, make an egregious and insulting comment threatening to shut down electricity for the American people.
By the way, and I know that it doesn't matter that I say this because we live in wacky times. Okay. I think there's probably, if I'm being honest, there's probably 4 or 5 things that the president has done so far that are impeachment worthy. The tariff thing is absolutely impeachment worthy if we had a functioning government. Excuse me, you're trying to rewrite U.S. economic trade policy with the rest of the world on the back of a fake national emergency? No, you're out of here, dude. You got to be, you're gonzo. That's it. That's insane. Why would you? No, we're not doing this. That's bullshit. But we live in a jokeocracy now, okay? Where it's all just memes, so.
For hardworking American families. He made that threat. The president saw that and has an obligation and a responsibility to respond accordingly and represent the interests of the American people. So he has made the decision to add a 25% tariff. So now steel and aluminum tariffs will come into effect tomorrow at the rate of 50%. And our steel and aluminum industries have actually applauded these tariffs because, again, they know it's going to grow their industry here. It's going to allow them to export more steel that is made right here in the United States with American workers.
Egregious and insulting are your words here, but that's what many Canadian leaders have said about the actions President Trump has taken toward Canada. And what do you think the timeline is for speaking to Mr. Carney? Because normally a sitting president speaks to a close ally very quickly when there's new leadership.
Well, the president is, again, responding to the fact that Canada has been ripping off the United States of America and hardworking Americans for decades. If you look at the rates of tariffs across the board that Canadians have been imposing on the American people and our workers...
It's our trade deal! That's our trade deal! That's your trade deal! What do you mean they've been ripping us off for decades? That's your trade deal! That's yours! It's your trade deal! You renegotiated it! What happened?
Here, it is egregious. In fact, I have a handy-dandy chart here that shows not just...
Oh, more pictures. Yeah, the picture president. Hell yeah.
Canada, but the rate of tariffs across the board. If you look at Canada, since you brought it up, American cheese and butter, nearly 300% tariff. You look at India, 150% tariff on American alcohol. You think that's helping Kentucky bourbon be exported into India? I don't think so. 100% tariff on agricultural products from India. Look at Japan, tariffing rice, 700%. President Trump believes in reciprocity, and it is about dang time that we have a president who actually looks out for the interests of American businesses and workers. And all he's asking for at the end of the day are fair and balanced trade practices, and unfortunately, Canada has not been treating us very fairly at all over the past several decades.
Fair and
To the woman in the
balanced,
purple,
just
because I saw
like
you were
Fox News.
making a face at my previous answer. So what's going on?
Well, actually, I have a couple of questions. At the core of pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses and elsewhere is a demand to end the war in Gaza, a goal that this administration actually supports and has pursued. So why has this not been acknowledged or highlighted even?
Because these colleges in these protests have again put out Hamas.
For the research inclined, where should we look to understand limitations on POTUS tariff power, Constitution and USMCA? There's a law that was made, I don't remember what it's called, NEA? It might be the National Emergency Act, that basically, what it's supposed to be used for is in times of national security, the president has wide powers to act, which is in line with how we envision our country to operate, with one chief executive who's also the head of our military, right? The idea being that in times of war, in times of conflict, we don't have time to second guess ourselves. Congress is not going to lead a war. You need a general, commander-in-chief, the president, the lead executive to do it. So I think on that broad ideology, more specifically, when it comes to things like national security, so if we're being like invaded by like actual MS-13 gangs, like the president has to have the ability to go down to the border and be like, hey, these guys, they're not allowed in while we figure out what the fuck is going on. Okay? No. All right? But it shouldn't be like, we're going to ban all Muslims from coming into this country while we figure out what the heck is going on. Well, excuse me, hold on. You're not supposed to be doing immigration policy, president. You're just supposed to be using like temporary national emergency powers as like the commander-in-chief, basically. And then same thing with tariffs as well. The president has the ability, if he declares a national emergency, to say, hey, there's an emergency here. I'm also going to tariff these things for a temporary time because I'm trying to protect our country and keep us safe, right? That's why he has to have the fentanyl problem in the north, because that gives him the legal authority extended to him via the NEA, the National Emergencies Act, to enact those tariffs. But obviously, it's clear as day. We can all see he's not actually doing national emergency tariffing. He's doing economic policy by abusing powers from the National Emergency Act, right?
Hamas propaganda. The flyers that have been distributed call for violence. The flyers that have been distributed have the logo of an organization that has held Americans hostage, that murdered innocent babies, that murdered men, women, and children. They are a designated foreign terrorist.
Also, just as a quick thing, because I say brought up a lot, I just haven't even bothered talking about this in chat. Most of the time on a lot of these tariffs, like it's true for the Canadian one, when people talk about having a when people talk about like 250% tariffs on dairy and blah, 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 I think what happens is there's some level of import and export that a country will allow that doesn't destroy their local market. So for instance, I don't remember what it is specifically on Canada, but I think it's something where like 40 or 50% of their domestic production or of their domestic consumption has to come from like local producers, because you don't want to lose your entire dairy market. You don't want that to be gone, because that does represent like a threat for a variety of reasons. If there's like a famine or if there's low dairy produce in the US or whatever, you don't want your people to like not have it. So after a certain percentage of goods are imported from another country, then that tariff turns on to protect your local manufacturers. I'm pretty sure this is fairly standard, but I know for sure that this was included as in provisions in the last trade deal that we negotiated with Canada and Mexico, the U.S. Canada-Mexico trade agreement. So like these are things the United States already knew about. They're not surprising. But it's not like Canada just has a blanket 250% tariff on their dairy market. That's just not true. That's a fucking lie. But
organization, and we are not going to tolerate non-citizens, foreigners who come here on a visa, engaging in such behavior, siding with terrorists. And the Secretary of State reserves the authority to revoke the green card or the visa of an individual who serves as an, actually it says right here, reasonable grounds to believe that the alien's presence or activities in the United States would have potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences to the United States. And I think siding with Hamas makes that.
Won't the bill come due at some point? If you're using the Emergency Act and hanging your hat on fentanyl, for example, if you can't show those numbers, there must be some recourse to file an injunction on further executive orders. You can never injunct executive orders. Executive orders, I don't think are even like real things. An executive order is basically just the president saying like, these are the powers that I already have, and this is like what I'm going to do, and I'm going to kind of like change up a little bit of what I'm doing, but you still have to like follow the law and everything else, basically. The only recourse that you have is Congress is allowed, with a majority, I believe, in both houses, Congress is allowed to fight against a current state of emergency. But I don't know if Congress has ever done that. And I don't even know if the law is written for that to like really happen. Because I think, to make something wrong, but I think that Congress could vote against the emergency on the north and say, sorry, there is no fentanyl emergency, that's bullshit. And then the next day Trump could go, oh, actually, well, there's a moose emergency. There are way too many mooses coming across the border, so I'm going to tariff them now. And then Congress would have to like, wait, hold on. Now they would have to vote to stop that national, and then Trump could just like infinitely do these. So in effect, I don't think you can actually stop it. Yeah. Watch the video when Trump announces he will ban Muslims until they figure out what's going on. The MAGA crowd starts cheering when he says ban Muslims with no further context. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But people forgot about that. Even though that is what he wanted to do. Don't be mistaken. He wanted to just ban all Muslims from coming into the country. And every now and then he still harkens back to like Muslim extremism, even though that's, I don't know what that has to do with anything right now in the United States, but.
Quite clear. Secretary Rubio exercised that authority, and we fully believe that we are going to move forward with more arrests, as President Trump previewed in his statement yesterday.
Yeah, thanks. So are there conversations between the administration and the Canadians going on over this tariff? Because the Ontario Premier says the next step is to cut off electricity to the U.S.
And the president put out a statement after seeing those comments and said that it would be there would be grave consequences imposed on Canada if they think about shutting off electricity for the United States of America and our citizens. And the president is also determined to ensure that we are depending on American electricity, not the electricity production of foreign nations, including our allies in Canada. As for conversations, there is continued correspondence between the president's team, particularly Secretary Lutnick, and the Canadians as well.
In the market reaction, how do you sell to the American people then after they're looking at what's happening in the markets this week and say that the tariff policy long term is something good?
Well, just think about what the tariff policy long term will do for our country. I think many of us probably grew up in small towns. I know at least I did, and the main street in my small town looks a heck of a lot worse than it probably did decades ago before I was alive. At least my parents and grandparents tell me so.
Destiny, the Muslim ban lie has been disproven, just like the very fine people nonsense. The very fine people thing was never disproven. I don't know how you guys were able to rewrite. I mean, congratulations. You guys can rewrite history on video when it's like clearly there. There's a guy who actually does really good analysis on the very fine people lie. Let me see if I can find this again. Hold on. Fuck, I should have saved this. I gotta find this. He's a political commentator, Benjamin something. Fuck! I didn't save it. Somebody link me the Ben Shapiro video. Because Ben Shapiro debunks that bullshit immediately. That, oh no, no. When he said very fine people, he just meant the nice people. Bullshit. No. Destiny, what you're doing now helped Trump win. Thanks for the assist. True. Every single thing helps Trump win. So based. Oh my God. How can you suck a man's dick when he's fucking you in the ass at the exact same time? I didn't even know it was possible. There needs to be research on this. POTUS is spending his day, or am I misunderstanding this? POTUS is spending his day attacking me and Canada. The difference is Canada will eventually cave. Well, I can't tell, is he talking himself up? This is like this is the most masterfully crafted tweet of all time, because he's talking himself up, he's shitting on Canada, and he's commending the president for attacking Canada all at the same time. Is that all happening? And all three of these things are happening simultaneously? Is that what? I can't tell if he's just trying to shit on Canada and build himself up, or he's also supporting Trump's tariffs, or Jesus. Fucking losers.
And I know many Americans feel that same way. What the president envisions for this country is for the United States of America to be a manufacturing superpower.
I don't know if there's a video for the Benny Boy. Oh, no, there is. There's an unlisted Daily Wire video, and it's very, very, very good. Because Shapiro, when he's using his brain for not political propaganda, is decently insightful. It's like Jordan Peterson.
Where there are American factories and businesses owned by Americans producing goods that we are exporting to the rest of the world. Those revenues will stay here. It will increase wages for people here in our great country. It will ensure our national security, and it will boost the morale of the American people to have thriving industries again. Think about Detroit, Michigan. Think about North Carolina, as I mentioned, that used to have a thriving furniture industry that no longer exists because of the globalist trade policies of previous and past administrations. And the American people gave the president a tremendous opportunity to restore American greatness and restore our manufacturing dominance, and he's intent on doing just that. John.
Two questions. First, on the CR, you put up on the screen the president's message to Republicans to support this continuing resolution. Is there outreach to Democrats? Because what we've seen since the beginning of the fiscal year is that in order to get a continuing resolution, you need bipartisan support and you need compromise.
Well, right now, we are focused on House Republicans and on the House, because that's the first.
Yes, true. More, please. More people, please. Why would our country allow another country to supply us with electricity, even for a small area? Who made these decisions and why? It was you, Trump. These are your decisions.
First step, as you know, John. And so the president has engaged in correspondence with House Republicans, whipping votes and getting them to a yes, which I understand has been pretty successful this morning thus far. And so, again, the president is encouraging Republicans especially, but again, as I said, all members of Congress to vote to continue funding this government so we can continue the business of the American people, which elected President Trump to do.
And then on financial markets, we've seen this decline yesterday. We see it today as well. It seems that the read on the president's policies is one in which they do not have confidence in his trade tariffs policy. They do not have confidence in what the president said to Fox News over the weekend, that he didn't rule out the idea of a recession.
Oof, this is a rough crowd right now. And these are like the sycophants. These are the people left who you've like personally approved.
What is your read in terms of the decline that we've seen over the last week and a half in financial markets?
Trump's like, I gotta go live, dude. I can't do this. I gotta go live. I gotta stream. I gotta talk to the people. I need to go live. Somebody get OBS, get the laptop. We got to do a press conference, guys. It's not good. She's not doing a good enough job.
I think there's actually a lot of reason to be confident, and many people do feel confident. Just look at the nearly $2 trillion in private investment that this president has secured. Look at the comments made by the CEO of Apple, one of the biggest companies in this world, who said that he is bullish on the future of American innovation under the leadership of President Trump. Look at CEO confidence. According to the Conference Board measure of CEO confidence, in Q1 2025, under the leadership of this president, it jumped to its highest level in 3 years, from cautious optimism to confident optimism. If you, again, look at the $2 trillion in investments from some of the biggest companies in the world. Look at the jobs report last Friday, as I also cited in my opening remarks. Fox Business reported that Trump sees a manufacturing boom in first full jobs report of his second term. Look at the auto jobs that have already poured back into America. We added 9,000 new auto jobs. Those are sticky jobs. Those are good paying jobs. That's 9,000 American families who will now be able to live the American dream because of the policies of this administration.
Dream.
You also look at small business optimism. The NFIB put out a report this morning. Small business optimism.
Man, all those government numbers that we definitely thought were bullshit before, we're really trying to stick to them now. Oh, man.
Continues to be far higher than it ever was under the previous administration. There's a lot of reason to be optimistic. And again, the American people, CEOs and people on Wall Street and on Main Street should bet on this president. He is a deal maker. He is a businessman, and he's doing what's right for our country. He wants to restore wealth to the United States of America. Michael, good to see you.
Hey, Caroline, thank you. Two questions, if I may. Will the administration be providing any relief to states affected by the Ontario power tariff?
Well, the president has made it very clear that Canada would be very wise not to shut off electricity for the American people. And we hope that that does not happen. As for what would happen if that does take place, I'll leave it to the president to make those decisions.
Does President Trump share the Justice Department's concern over rising egg prices and possible collusion of big egg?
Well, we definitely do share the concerns of the American people when it comes to the price of eggs. However, good news, the average cost of a dozen eggs is actually down since Secretary Rollins and President Trump announced their plan. It's down $1.85. So that's good news on the cost of eggs. And as we
Oh my God, this is like a fucking torture dungeon for statistics. Okay, we have never tortured numbers this brutally and this hard before. Holy Christ. We were like, this is like fucking, it's like kung fu statistics. It's like, this is the highest it's ever been in 4 decades. And we saw the largest second derivative rate of a rate drop since the last 15 months of automobile manufacturing jobs in Minnesota. And we've seen the consumer confidence has risen since a statement made by $1. It's like, holy shit. It's like the actual matrix of trying to torture stats here to say that there's always a good outlook on every single thing you're talking about. Oh my God.
You know, under the Biden administration, egg prices went up 22%. This is another example of an economic mess that President Trump inherited, and the Secretary of Agriculture and the President are focused on fixing it. Secretary Rollins put out a 4-point plan to address this crisis, and she has been honest and realistic with the American people, as this administration always is. It will take about 3 to 6 months to get the egg supply back to where it should be, but she's focused, and this administration is focused on doing that every day. Karen.
Thanks, Caroline. Just back on the markets, you said that what we're seeing this week.
God, I'm trying to imagine students of the future. They're like trying to watch current news broadcasts. And like, so teacher, did Americans eat a lot of eggs, especially? Like, why did that become the one thing that Americans were so heavily fixated on when it comes to price? Is it like the most important food for Americans in the year, whatever the fuck? Like,
on Wall Street is a snapshot of a moment in time. But does the president think he bears any responsibility for the turmoil in the stock market this
no,
week?
Look, the president
absolutely
is
not.
unwavering.
Excuse me. Responsibility? Fuck no. This is Biden. Hello? Does this lady even know what she's talking about?
in his commitment to restore American manufacturing and global dominance. And I think he doubled down on that this morning with his new statement and the tariffs that will be implemented tomorrow on steel and aluminum.
And he has said recently he's not looking at the market. He said you can't really watch the stock market, but all of the gains since Election Day have been erased in the S&P 500. At what point, how far do stocks have to fall before the president considers it a factor and changes course?
Again, as I just said, the president will look out for Wall Street and for Main Street, just like he did in his first term. And people on Wall Street and Main Street should bet on this president. He's doing what's right for this country. Nick, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you, Caroline. So is the president prepared, like what we saw with Congressman Massey, to pressure other Republican lawmakers into supporting this continuing resolution?
Well, he is very much, as I said, engaged in this process. He's been making calls to lawmakers on Capitol Hill, and I think his statements against Congressman Massey speak for themselves. And I will let the president put out any additional statements if he chooses to, but he fully expects all House Republicans to vote for this continuing resolution.
And just to follow up, can we start to anticipate seeing more of the president weighing in on upcoming 2026 races like we saw this morning?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to speak about that from this podium. I would check in with our outside political team for guidance on future races and the president's involvement. Elena.
Thank you. I want to ask you about some comments Elon Musk made yesterday. He said that there is $500 to $700 billion in waste and fraud and entitlement spending. He called it, quote, the big one to eliminate. Earlier this month, he also referred to Social Security as a Ponzi scheme. Should Americans expect changes, big changes, to Social Security and Medicare?
President Trump has been unequivocally clear on this. He is going to protect Social Security and Medicare benefits and Medicaid for hardworking Americans who paid into these entitlement programs and deserve those hard-earned benefits. And unfortunately, the mainstream media has taken Mr. Musk out of context. I saw a Bloomberg headline that our team actually worked on getting updated and fixed because it was so wrong. And it took Mr. Musk out of context. What he was specifically referring to cutting was the waste and the fraud and abuse that does.
Oh, the waste, fraud, and abuse. Oh, Kenny Becker said, "What the hell is DGG?" We go by the name DDGG. We are a sex harassment cult that is also responsible for destroying the lives of every single person that we come across on the internet that we don't like in the most illegal ways possible, constantly. Our number one targets are anybody that supports Palestine or leftism or Hassan. We are the only reason why socialism does not exist yet in the United States also. Be careful.
Exist in these programs. According to an IG report from the Social Security Administration, there's more than $70 billion of fraud in the Social Security program alone that we know of. And so the president will continue to protect these programs.
Wait, what?
Abuse that does exist in these programs. According to an IG report from the Social Security Administration, there's more than $70 billion of fraud in the Social Security program alone.
I don't even think that report said fraud. I think the report just said those were payments that went out that weren't supposed to, and then I think they're able to recover. It's either 40% or 60% of them. I might have inverted, but I don't know if it's necessarily fraud. Like for instance, back a long time ago when I did Social Security fraud, one time, like for instance, my grandma died, and then I don't know if she died on like the 30th or something, but Social Security paid out like one more payment to her account, but then they rescinded it like 3 days later. I don't know how those fuckers found out. But that would probably be an example of like a payment that went out that wasn't supposed to. But it's not because like my grandma was committing Social Security fraud and they were able to recover it. So.
Loan that we know of. And so the president will continue to protect these programs for hardworking Americans, and actually cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse out of these programs will protect it for hardworking Americans.
But respectfully, he said around $500 to $700 billion. There's no evidence to claim that. And also, if that is the case, that would represent...
Damn. $500 billion. With all due respect, ma'am, that's not what he said, bitch. That's what she just said. She said, that's not what he said. You know that, right?
More than a third of what Social Security paid out last year, maybe 20% of Social Security and Medicare.
Again, if you read his full quote, he said, we think. So it's an estimate based on...
Like, I wish I lived in this environment. This is what Hassan operates in. This is what Trump operates in. Like, well, excuse me. We said we think, okay? We said we think, all right? What do you want me to... What, you want me to have an actual fucking number for you? Come on, lady.
$1 billion. There's no evidence to claim that. And also, if that is the case, that would represent more than a third of what Social Security paid out.
This might be one of my favorite 2025 quotes so far. We think. We said we think.
Last year, maybe 20% of Social Security and Medicare.
Again, if you read his full quote, he said, we think. So it's an estimate based on what he's seen. He's not saying definitively. He's saying that's what DOGE suspects and thinks. And that's exactly why DOGE was created, to ensure that we are investigating the fraudulent spending, the wasteful abuse across our federal government. And I would remind everybody in this room that 77% of the American people support this effort by Elon Musk and DOGE to identify such waste, fraud, and abuse.
Caroline.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
You're welcome.
True. Absolutely true. After I give advice, I always end my sentence with, I don't know though. So you can never say I ruined your life. This is like the no homo of life advice, okay? I don't know, man. If I was you, I would do this, or, you know, maybe you should, but I don't know, man. Good luck. I'm just a politics streamer. I'm just a little YouTuber. What do you want me to say?
If we could just step back for a second. When President Trump last addressed the BRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs. And I'm curious for why he's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that again have been ripping us off. Tariffs are.
Oh, we're still doing the little cute thing where we don't know what a tariff is. Is that what we're doing?
A tax cut for the American people, and the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts, as you know. Ripping us. He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that again have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people, and the
it's a tax cut somehow. Oh, so when the price of stuff goes up, I'm saving money somehow. What? What? Hello?
president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits.
Yeah, we don't have any of that yet, by the way. Tell me more about how tariffs are a tax cut for the American people, though. I want to hear that one again. That was a good, I like that one.
He's committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They don't get charged on.
Oh, he's like, fuck this job. He's like, I don't want to come here anymore. I'm gonna get my ass banned from the press room.
Of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They don't get charged on foreign companies. They get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you're trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions.
Insulting that you dare test Queen, I don't even know her name, her knowledge on economics when she said that tariffs are actually a tax cut. Why would you dare test her on that?
This president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Mary, go ahead.
Oh, and it's the AP. Banned from the Oval Office. They're about to be banned from the fucking press room. I don't know what this room is called. They're going to get banned from everything. Get out of here. Damn.
Caroline, I have two if that's okay. The first one was on Russia, Ukraine. I know Special Envoy Witkoff said yesterday that Zelensky apologized in his letter to Trump. Can you share any more about that letter and what else might be interesting from it that we don't know?
Yes, the president did reference that letter, as you're saying, in his joint address to Congress. And I do have an update. As you know, Secretary of State Rubio and our...
Why did the Democrats vote against no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security? There hasn't even been a vote on that, number one. Number two, what? That's stupid. Why would you not tax tips? And why would you not tax overtime? They're wages. Of course you would tax these. Why would you not tax your wages? Hello? And for Social Security, I mean, I think the argument would probably be you're paying into Social Security and the income's not taxed when it goes in, so it would be taxed when it comes out, right?
Our National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, have been negotiating with the Ukrainians today in Saudi. They will be providing a full readout of that meeting very soon. But I can assure you and everybody here and the American people that the news we've received from that meeting throughout the day and the president has been briefed on.
I still don't believe she's 27. Wait, this person is 27 years old?
Is positive. This meeting has been productive. I will let Secretary of Rubio and our National Security, Secretary of State Rubio and our National Security Advisor speak to the specifics of what has taken place today when they are ready to do so when the meeting concludes. Lindsay, go ahead.
Referring to Mahmoud Khalil, the president has said this is the first of many arrests like this. Does the administration have a rough estimate of how many arrests you're planning to make similar?
I don't have an estimate.
Would you support a way to opt out of Social Security if they tax you on the back end? I don't know if anybody is honest about Social Security. I mean, I feel like Democrats are a little honest, although they try to be kind about it. But the reality is, the reason why Social Security exists is because the average person is too retarded to save their money. But full stop. That is the reason why Social Security exists. And it's the reason why it should exist and it shouldn't go anywhere. Because the average person is too much of an irresponsible dipshit to actually put away money for retirement. And then when they do retire and then they have no money and they go homeless and crazy and society's fucked as a result, then we all have to like pick up the slack. So I don't believe you should be able to opt out of Social Security because I believe people who are opting out of Social Security would make very, very bad decisions if they had the ability to do so. That's my personal view on it.
I do know that DHS, based on very good intel that they have gathered at the direction of the president's executive order, which made it very clear to the Department of Homeland Security that engaging, as I said, in anti-American, anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas protests will not be tolerated. So since the president signed that executive order and since Secretary of Known has taken the oath at DHS, they have been using intelligence to identify individuals on our nation's colleges and universities, on our college campuses, who have engaged in such behavior and activity, and especially illegal activity. And so I don't have a readout on how many arrests will come, but I do know that DHS is actively working on it. And I also know that Columbia University has been given the names of other individuals who have engaged in pro-Hamas activity, and they are refusing to help DHS identify those individuals on campus. And as the president said very strongly in his statement yesterday,
in the UK, we do forced enrollment for pensions. You guys should too. Ooh, sorry. All of our pensions are generally from private companies, and we got rid of all those in 2007, 2008. And those all went away.
he is not going to tolerate that, and we expect all America's colleges and universities to comply with this administration's policy. Jasmine.
On Canada, after all of these threats to increase tariffs or turn off electricity, I wonder, does this administration still consider Canada to be a close ally of the United States?
Well, I think Canada is a neighbor. They are a partner. They have always been an ally. Perhaps they are becoming a competitor now. But as the president also laid out in his Truth Social post today, he believes that Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state of the United States of America. And I actually looked into some of the...
Number two. That's number two why he should be impeached. That talk is just unbelievable. It's not just the talk, and people need to wake the fuck up on this. You have to stop assuming that he's always just full of jokes and memes when he says this shit. Like, because he's not just saying this 51st state shit. He's saying it, and he's taking actions to make it happen. He's taking tons of actions to bring this into effect, right? We read that article where Trudeau started taking that rhetoric more seriously in his approach to negotiations with the U.S., and I think it should be taken seriously because, you know,
research about the cost of living in Canada, and the cost of living is much higher than it is here in the United States of America. The average cost of a home in Canada is much higher. In Quebec, the highest tax rate for an income of $150,000 or more is 53.3%, more than half of Canadians' incomes they are being taxed on. So the president has made it clear that he believes Canadians would be better served economically, militarily, if they were to become the 51st state of the United States of America. Reagan.
A week ago, Attorney General Bondi said a truckload of Epstein files had been delivered to her office from the SDNY. When can we expect those files to be released to the public?
I would defer you to the Department of Justice. I don't have a time.
I'm so sorry, guys, and I'll say this again. And I learned this when I set aside 1 week to do my Epstein deep dive research on, because I wanted to see how fucked up everything was, and that was incredibly disappointing in like 3 hours. The reason why you're never going to see anything from all that Epstein shit has nothing to do with Israel or the Jews or wealthy people that were raping kids or whatever. It's probably just because there's nothing there. It's probably just nothing juicy. He probably did do, or it seems he almost certainly had like weird shit where he was grabbing sometimes underage girls to do massages and then ask them for fucking blowjobs or handjobs or whatever. And he was a really wealthy dude that had a lot of friends, but the idea that he was running some massive, crazy billionaire sex cult to get everybody to do it probably just wasn't the case. Something probably would have leaked by now. We probably would have heard something by now. Probably would have been a charge, a statement, something from WikiLeaks at least. But that's why you're probably never going to see anything. And now Pam probably has to go through box after box of bullshit ass fucking witness statements and documents and bills to try to cobble together some kind of interesting story, because everybody's expecting some massive bombshell from the Epstein stuff. It's probably just never going to happen.
Timeline here.
Do you have any update on the JFK files?
I don't at this moment. Again, I would defer you to our DNI director, Tulsi Gabbard, and also the Department of Justice. I know that they are working on that diligently as the president.
Did he traffic people or not? From what I saw, unless I missed some huge thing, no, I don't believe Epstein ever trafficked anybody. I don't think, unless I missed that part. It seemed like what, from what I'd read, it seemed like what he did was he liked younger girls, so 18 and up or younger. I guess he didn't care. And I think he had that Maxwell woman like run off to New York or whatever to find young girls who were looking to fucking make some money. And then after he'd bring them out to the island, he would basically say like, hey, give me a massage, me and my friends, we want massages or whatever. And then at some point he might say like, hey, listen, like I'll pay you a little bit of money if you also fucking jerk me off or some bullshit. And he and sometimes those girls were underage. What was the youngest one, 16 or 17? I don't remember. But the bringing of a girl to his private island from the U.S. might technically be trafficking. Or wait, hold on. I thought the Epstein Island, I thought that was in the U.S. territory. If U.S. territory, if Epstein Island is not U.S. territory, then that could be trafficking. Or would be trafficking, I think. But you said Tate was trafficking, right? I think Tate was, but yeah, because the Tates were moving women across borders to come and basically be their pimps for their OnlyCams. Their it wasn't OnlyFans they were typically working on, right? It was like OnlyFans and then cam sites or whatever. Yeah. Wait, has anybody made that site OnlyCams? That sounds awesome. I don't think trafficking needs to be international. I thought that was the definition of trafficking. I thought it's when you move people across borders for sex work to like control them or whatever. I thought that's, I could be wrong on that. I don't know. Isn't crossing state lines trafficking? I don't know. I always traffic women in the same state, so I've never really thought about it before. Sex trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery in which individuals perform commercial sex through the use of force, fraud, or coercion. Oh, maybe trafficking doesn't involve moving over borders at all. But even if that is the case, I don't know if for the Epstein stuff, so again, somebody can link me if maybe I missed something, but I don't think there was any force, fraud, or coercion. I think he would typically just like, he would fly girls out that would want to give him massages, and then he'd pay him more for sex-related stuff. And then I think at least one of those women were underage. That's what I saw at least. But.
It requested them to do. Christian.
Thanks, Caroline. 2 questions. Since we've been talking a lot about tariffs, have there been any updates on standing up the External Revenue Service to collect revenue from there?
Well, we need reciprocal tariffs to go into effect first, and as you know, the president will be rolling those out on April 2nd, and then the next start of that process is collecting that revenue to ultimately create the External Revenue Service, which Secretary Lutnick is working very hard on and is quite enthusiastic about, if you have noticed from his media interviews.
Does the president do that through executive action, or will it require legislation?
Well, the president already signed an executive order to direct the Secretary of Commerce to establish the External Revenue Service, or at least to identify ways in which it can be done. I would defer you to the Department of Commerce for more on specifics on that.
Why do you think he killed himself then? Was it just the eyes on the back of his neck? Well, because I think it's a foregone conclusion that there was at least one minor girl involved, right? And there probably was more than just one minor girl. If he was willing to pay one minor girl for sex services, there's probably more than that, we might guess, right? Wait, what were the charges that he was facing? Hold on, let me check. He wasn't convicted yet. He didn't actually go through the whole trial thing, did he? Did he? Good one. He was arrested on July 6, 2019 on federal charges for sex trafficking of minors in Florida and New York. So would that have meant that there were at least one minor from each state that he had banged, basically, or paid for its services? I'm guessing that's what I don't know what the elements are for trafficking in the U.S. But okay, so I don't think trafficking has anything to do with like shipping people across borders. I thought that trafficking required you to like move them or something. Or maybe it does. Maybe that's why, I don't know. Saying Epstein is legitimate while playing Factorio is wild. Who said Epstein was legitimate? I don't think you should pay young girls for sex, especially if they're underage. What do you mean? Trump goes insane, so I lean back into Destiny's justifying Epstein. Well, I don't understand why. I don't know what it is for humans where like your brain shuts off if something's not like the worst thing ever. Like it has to be either the best thing ever or it has to be the worst thing ever. It's such a stupid way to view the world. I can't imagine how difficult it is to sort through literally any complex problem.
Sure, in the back.
Thank you very much, Carolina. I have a few questions on South Korea and North Korea. First question, as you know, South Korean President Yoon has been...
Don't you have to move them somewhere against their will? I thought it was, but it might just be if you have somebody travel for purposes of sexual exploitation, where exploitation is like paying somebody for sex, not even necessarily like being like their owner or whatever. That might count as sex trafficking. I don't know what the underlying elements are in the U.S. for those charges. I'm not sure. I mean, we could look it up. Fuck it. Why not? Sex traffic charge, New York State. Is New York one of these states where their statutes aren't actually on any .gov website and you've got to go to another? Okay, for New York State, a person is guilty of sex trafficking if he or she intentionally advances or profits from prostitution by unlawfully providing to a person who is patronized with intent to impair said person's judgment. lawfully providing to a person who is patronized a narcotic drug or a narcotic preparation. Concentrated cannabis is defined in paragraph A of methadone, blah, blah. Lawfully providing to a person who is patronized with intent to impair said person's judgment. Wait, what does this mean? Providing to a person... Oh, making any of these available. Okay, to a person who is patronized. What does that mean, patronized? Like they're a customer, or... Hold on. Does this imply they're a minor, or just that you're like their boss or something? Or they're just a victim? Unlawful providing to a person who's patronized with intent to impair said person. Okay, so you have to impair their judgment somehow, I guess. And then making material false statements, misstatements, or omissions to induce or maintain the person being patronized to engage in or continue to engage in prostitution activity. And then withholding, destroying, or confiscating any actual or purported passport, immigration document, or any other actual or purported government identification documents from the person with intent to impair said person's freedom of movement, and requiring that prostitution be performed to retire, repay, or serve. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Wait, this does sound kind of hardcore then for sex trafficking for New York. Can we look at Epstein, New York, indictment? Were these ever unsealed or made public? New York. I want the New York State indictment. I don't know if they ever published these. Can we just move on back to the press conference for actual news? The first time the press corps is actually being the press in months. Just an N. Don't worry. YouTube has this feature called pause and play. So we're going to push play and we're going to go right back to the exact time that we paused at. It's crazy. Okay. You can pause things and push play again. It's called DVR. Okay. We got this technology like 20 years ago. It's crazy. It'll be right there. I promise it's not going anywhere. Okay. Epstein was arrested again on federal charges for sex trafficking. Oh, never mind. Okay. Federal, U.S. government. Wait, what would I look for? Federal sex trafficking statute. Whoever knowingly, in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce or within the special maritime and territorial jurisdiction, yes, or benefits, wait, in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce. Oh, no, wait, that's okay. Benefits financially or by receiving anything of value from participation in a venture which has engaged in an act described in violation of paragraph 1. Okay, so a favor for a prostitute, basically. And then the punishment for an offense under subsection. The offense was affected by means of force. If the offense was not okay. Oh, okay. So federal sex trafficking is literally just buying and selling prostitution services. So the federal sex trafficking statute has a lot less in terms of elements compared to the New York one we read, if I'm understanding this correctly, right? So based on what we saw, he was almost certainly guilty of this. What are you doing? Okay.
Implications on South Korea and
establish the External Revenue Service, or at least to identify ways in which it can be done. I would defer you to the Department of Commerce for more on specifics on that. Sure, in the back.
Thank you very much, Carolina. I have a...
Wait, before we go, is prostitution everywhere illegal in the USA? Why would rich people go to Epstein and Diddy? I don't think you went to Epstein. Again, I know this is way more boring. I don't think you went to Epstein to like fuck prostitutes. I think that people just hung out with him because he's a billionaire, and then while he's at his place, he's like, oh hey, I've got these like young girls that like to give massages and jerk you off or whatever. I think that's like the Epstein thing. I don't know anything about the Diddy stuff. Yeah, I can't speak to the Diddy stuff at all.
Department of Commerce for more on specifics on that. Sure, in the back.
Thank you very much, Carolina. I have a few questions on South Korea and North Korea. First question, As you know, South Korean President Yoon has been released from illegal detention. What is the reaction of the United States as an ally? Is there a possibility of a summit with President Trump when President Yoon returns? Second question on North Korea. North Korea launched several ballistic missiles into the west coast yesterday. What is the White House's reaction on this?
Sure. Yes, I'll start with your question on North Korea. We condemn these actions and we call on North Korea to stop their unlawful and destabilizing actions. As for South Korea, the U.S. and Republic of Korea's alliance is ironclad, and the Trump administration remains in close contact with our South Korean counterparts as we work together to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific. Sure.
You didn't answer that. The release of South Korean president from jail.
I don't have anything on that, but I can certainly check in with the National Security Council and get back to you.
How do you even not tax overtime? Are we going to create a whole second category of income taxes? I don't get it. Yeah, I also wonder if... No, I don't think it would happen. It'd be too complicated, maybe. But like, I feel like you could abuse the fuck out of your workers if there was no tax on overtime. Like, imagine you have a guy who gets $10 an hour and he'd get $15 an hour working overtime, and he works overtime regularly. Like what I just tell the guy, listen, bro, you're going to get $9 an hour now. But you're actually going to make more money because when you get your $13.50 an hour for overtime, that's not even taxed. So you're actually, even though I'm lowering your wages, you're making more money because now there's no tax. Like, why would you not tax overtime? It's just stupid. Obviously you should tax overtime. It's just stupid.
Sure, good to see you.
Secretary, many are concerned about the validity of President Biden's official actions and also his pardons of the possible criminal actions of individuals such as his family members and Liz Cheney, as information is emerging that many of his official actions were auto-signed, possibly even the pardons and without his knowledge or consent. Does the White House have any information
Thank
available?
God we got our Newsmax and OAN, our faithful, loyal propaganda reporters in here to ask the real questions. Thank you. Yes, ask more about Biden.
Currently, that Biden was actually the one that approved and signed those pardons. And second question, will the DOJ investigate whether President Biden's cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through radical policy and pardons without his known approval?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can check in with our folks here who may know the answer to that question and get back to you. Josh.
Aren't the complainants, accusers, victims in unanimous consent or consensus that Epstein was explicitly the facilitator for bringing girls over to do massages and prostitution shit, including the minors? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Epstein and Maxwell, right? I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
Without his known approval?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can check in with our folks here who may know the answer to that question and get back to you. Dasha, go ahead.
You did a great job articulating the vision that President Trump has for what he believes his tariffs can do to bringing jobs back to the United States. I asked you last week about how much Americans might need to buckle up for some short-term pain, a conversation that with the President and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent have had with the people. I'm wondering, how high is the pain threshold for President Trump and for this White House as you watch some of the turbulence in the stock markets, as you field concerns from businesses and potentially see some of those approval ratings drop in the short term? How much is he willing to stomach that, and will he stay committed to his vision for tariffs even as all of this comes up?
Well, the president has been working hard every single day to alleviate the pain that was inflicted by the previous administration through massive deregulation, through drill baby drill, as we like to call it, unleashing the might of our energy industry, which we know will ultimately drive down costs for consumers here at home. And again, as I mentioned, the president is intent on signing tax cuts for the American people to put more money back into their pockets, which will ultimately unlock consumer confidence. And again, I'll reiterate the president's words in layman's terms as he does best. The president wants the American people to have so much more money in their pockets, they don't know what to do with it. That's the goal of this administration, through tariffs, through tax cuts, through deregulation, and through unleashing the potential of our energy industry. I have two more quick notes before I wrap up. April 28th, I can confirm that.
Who got Epstein off in 2009 and why? You mean the guy who got him off who ended up working for Trump's administration later on? You're talking about Epstein, the guy that died in a federal prison while Trump was the president, right? It's crazy how you guys want to play the conspiracy game, but you don't ever follow it to like Trump. You always just want to go exactly where you want to go to. That's cute, but...
that the Philadelphia Eagles will be here at the White House to celebrate their Super Bowl victory. I know there was a lot of fake news about an invitation that wasn't sent or was sent. We want to correct the record. We sent an invitation. They enthusiastically accepted, and you will see them here on April 28th.
God, yes.
And lastly, on a sad note, I would like to express our condolences to Fox News and to the entire Fox family who did lose a cameraman, Craig Savage, who passed away at 61 years old recently. A very tragic death, an individual who was a great man and covered this building for many, many years. So the entire press office, the communications office here wants to express our condolences with his family and also with Fox News. And I'll see you guys later. Perhaps you'll see the president in a Tesla later this afternoon. Have a good one.
Trump,
right, so just listening there to
go live.
The White House press briefing featuring Press Secretary Caroline Levitt. Thank you all for being with us here at Live Now from Fox on this Tuesday, March 11th. My name is Carl Lahara, and I'll be with you throughout the next couple of hours as we...
No, I'm good. I don't know what this is, but it looks like some OAN shit. Even though it says Fox, but is it like a local Fox thing? Does not taxing overtime benefit or hurt the employer? I mean, it would be just a reduction in taxes, so it would just be less revenue for the government. We need to pay for shit. Where is Jader? Or Cake? Hold on. Let's be in charge of this. But is there a way we can aggressively tick up the repeated link cooldown in DGG question mark? Anytime a new story comes out, like 500 retards will link the exact same thing over and over and over and over and over again for hours, wondering if I've seen it yet, pretending that they are the first one to stumble upon the news. I hate them all. Heart. Okay. Jesus. The Hassan journalist on Instagram? Don't call it the Hassan journalist. Taylor Lorenz is larger than that. At Destiny, employer pays part of the federal income tax. I don't believe that's true. I think the employer pays... Employer. That's a real word. Employer. Why does this sound weird now? Your employer pays half of your FICA tax, which is your Social Security and Medicare, but I don't believe the employer contributes anything to federal income tax. I think all the employer does is help you withhold tax when you fill out your I-9. Is Ethan Klein mentally doing all right? This obsession with Hassan has become absurd. Has become beyond absurd. Sorry, we're beyond absurd. The actual S, he needs to log off. Every influencer has a snark page, and if he wants it taken down, he needs to go through legal channels, not publicly bait them. Normally, I'd have sympathy, but Ethan has spent the past year absolutely terrorizing and stalking anyone even obsessed with Hassan while spouting vile Zionist propaganda. What does this sentence mean? He spent the past year absolutely terrorizing and stalking anyone even obsessed with Hassan. I'm assuming this is like typoed or something. He needs to log off for a long time and get his head straight and clean up his house so his kid isn't crawling around in dog feces. Wow. Is that actually her? Have you tried not ignoring them and instead acknowledging them once so people stop spamming? People keep spamming it. And if you've posted it in chat 15 times, I've seen it. I read all my chats. Where do you think these links come from that I'm clicking? Make it so we can see when you have clicked the link. Just assume I have, okay? What is it with this you need to log off thing? You see it on Foul Moy. How can people on H3 Snark unironically tell people to log off? It's just like it's a thought terminating argument. You're mentally unwell, you're obsessed, you need to log off, etc., etc. In response to the Democratic Party and affiliated Soros terrorist gangs targeting Elon Musk and Tesla, we purchased an incredible customized Cybertruck. We will be giving it away to a lucky customer at the Alex Jones store next month. See the beauty below. So what was the final outcome on the InfoWars thing? Did the judge just kill all of it? So Alex Jones just kept InfoWars and none of it mattered, or... ProPublica just obtained a remarkable directive to those remaining at USAID, empty the safes with the classified and personnel records, and then shred as many documents first and reserve the burn bags for when the shredder becomes unavailable or needs a break. Okay. Oh, Catherine Rampell got added to MSNBC as host. Does that mean she'll have her own show, or she'll just be like a regular on something? Somebody who actually has a fundamental understanding of basic stuff. Nice. Although it's MSNBC, so. But maybe it'll be better for that network, I guess. How do you talk to friends and family about Trump without losing your mind? It's like Trump supporters live in a different reality. You have to, there's like a whole bunch of shit you can watch on YouTube or whatever, but you basically have to go through a whole, like treating people like they're in cults or like they're with an abusive partner, basically. It's just like a whole bunch of like patience and being gentle and not being accusatory and just like asking gentle questions and prodding and like, wait, why don't you think that's a big deal? They destroy all docs and only source of truth on USAID becomes. I do think that's a big deal. It's bad. I mean, it's bad. It's not good.
And I think, frankly, if I didn't win, I think the stock market would crash. And I think, frankly,
fucking worthless. Ukraine says it is ready to accept 30-day ceasefire as U.S. says ball now in Russia's courts or Russia's court. So what's been negotiated? Ukraine says it is ready to accept a U.S. proposal for an initial 30-day ceasefire. Okay, that's okay. At least we restored intelligence sharing and security assistance to Ukraine, I guess. That's so we just went back to the status quo. Okay. Art of the deal. Anyone else remember back when Destiny said he thought having two parties was better than having many parties? Anyone else remember when Hitler came to power in a parliamentary system with multiple parties? Suck my dick, Sapient Green. Wait, I thought nuclear triad stuff was like only America and like Russia. I didn't even think of this. Or actually, wait, I'm sorry. Nuclear attack submarine. Does this imply that it has nuclear weapons on board or just that it's nuclear powered? What does that mean? When you call something a nuclear attack submarine? No, it's just a nuclear engine. Oh, okay. This is a cool looking thing. Damn. Nuclear attack means smaller sub to attack other subs. Is there any reliable way to find shit underwater yet, or is that still kind of like impossible? It's getting easier with new technology. DARPA is working on it. Ask Grok. Why do Americans drool and fawn over 1776? I know we're young countries, that wasn't that long ago, but no one has any ancestors alive to recount that time, and conservatives masturbate over a time that didn't, where formal education and indoor plumbing didn't exist. 1776 is nice because you can project whatever feeling you want into it and say that's what it was about. Like 1776 was when Americans finally had enough of the woke British Empire or whatever.
Beef tallow. Oh, by the way, here you go.
If you want to just take the red mask, and I'll take those trays back for you. Okay?
Oh, okay. Is that...
this is you, Sean.
Oh, this is me? Okay, thank you.
And Secretary, this is for you. All right, gentlemen. Enjoy.
Thank you. You didn't pick up my Coke, did you?
Huh? Get your Coke? I got you, buddy.
Miss Small, with the little ice.
Dog, it's fast food. Go get your own fucking drink. The machine's right there.
But I'm not going to drink it all because you're going to yell at me. I'm only kidding.
And Steak and Shake just switched out.
Nuclear subs that carry nuclear missiles are generally called ballistic missile submarines, or SSBNs. Why SSBN for ballistic missile submarine? Why would you give me an abbreviation or an acronym that doesn't seem to stand for what you just said? What does SSBN stand for? Super submarine ballistic... What? An SSBN submarine, or ballistic missile submarine. SSBNs are also known as boomers. What does it stand for? Submarine to surface ballistic missile. What does the N mean? Nuke? Ballistic nuke? Is that a... It's French? Shut up. Looks like the USAID shredding and burning story is bullshit. It all leads back to pictures of a redacted email and a quote from ProPublica that isn't published or doesn't exist. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh, the SS denotes submarine. The B denotes ballistic missile. And the N, you know what that stands for, denotes that the submarine is nuclear powered. Wait, is that true? You can't have like the SS whatever, that's always a submarine? Okay.
They yell at me. I'm only kidding.
And Steak and Shake just switched out. And people are raving about these French fries. You taste them.
They're
I
amazing.
taste them.
They really are. I'm not. There's not.
When I was a kid and I travel in Europe, Europe is great. Always had great food. The French fries were always a disappointment because we had the best French fries here. They had pommes frites over there, and they just didn't taste right. Today, the best French fries in the world are in Europe. I order them every time I go to Belgium or France or any place else. And the French fries here just don't taste right.
What does this even mean? The French fries from where? There's like a billion different types of French fries. What are you talking about?
And you taste these, it's a completely different experience, and the customers are raving about it. Other companies, Steak and Shake has been great. We're very grateful for them for RFKing the French fries. They turned me into a verb. But also Popeyes.
By the way, a plastic straw. Thank you. Thank God. I can't stand those paper straws. I hate them.
Is this really the state of our conservatives these days? Like,
other companies, Steak and Shake has been great. We're very grateful for them for RFKing the French fries. They turned me into a verb. But also Popeyes.
By the way, a plastic straw. Thank you. Thank God. I can't stand those paper straws. I hate them.
they changed the oil to something healthier, I believe, in all the Steak and Shakes. Okay. Like, if they want to do that, they can do that. No, we don't need a law for it. We didn't need RFK for, like, if people want to do that, the companies are free to do what they want, no? Like, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington versus U.S. Doge Service et al. What even was this in relation to? What was this case about? Government watchdog Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Lodge 2. Freedom of Information Requests. Okay. Seeking to learn more about the USDS's role in spearheading the mass firings and dramatic... Oh, okay. They sued and simultaneously sought a preliminary injunction ordering USDS to take up its request, requiring both entities to produce responsive documents by today's date in order to inform public debate on appropriations legislation not being considered by Congress. Finding that USDS is likely covered by FOIA and the public would be irreparably harmed by an indefinite delay in unearthing the records Crew seeks, the court will order USDS to process Crew's request on an expedited timetable and, after receiving proposals on a production schedule, to begin producing documents on a rolling basis as soon as practicable. Ooh, okay. Crew has not established that it is entitled to disclosure by a date certain. However, the court will therefore deny Crew's request for an order directing OMB and USDS to produce records by today. Finally, the court will also order both entities to preserve all records that may be responsive to Crew's FOIA requests. Okay. Complain. Since a combo with Evil Mike, have you given more consideration to the idea he has of color coding types of food depending on how healthy they are? I think it's a great idea. There's tons of countries that already do it. I think we absolutely should do it in the United States. Also, what is this actually true? I'm seeing this. Ontario, Canada agrees to suspend the 25% electricity surcharge. Wait, what? Is this actually true, or is something did something get worked out, or? Please see a joint statement from the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, and myself. Today, the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, and Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, had a productive conversation about the economic relationship between the U.S. and Canada. Lutnick agreed to officially meet with Premier Ford in Washington on Thursday, March 13th, alongside the U.S. Trade Representatives to discuss a renewed USMCA ahead of the April 2nd reciprocal tariff deadline in response to Ontario agreement. Oh, wow. Well, but like, doesn't the U.S. still have their tariffs on? Only the energy portion? Yeah, sure, but what a puss. Okay, real quick, because of that one chatter earlier. It triggered the fuck out of me.
Joe Biden jumps into the race, House Democrats seek more investigations, and the 2020 Democratic candidates desperately seek attention. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Today, nobody is looking back at all the stupid things that he has said. He has not been on the campaign trail for even a moment yet. And that means that the only message we have from Joe Biden at this point is his video message. So let's jump into Joe Biden's video message. So he releases a 3-minute video. We're going to analyze it in full. And then we're going to talk about how exactly all of this plays into the 2020 field. So Joe Biden's campaign message is him talking into camera, juxtaposed with footage of Charlottesville. Now, you knew the Democrats were going to use Charlottesville to its fullest effect. Of course they were. It was Trump's lowest moment of his presidency. Now, I know there are a lot of people who are trying on the right to engage in what I consider to be revisionist history about what President Trump said about Charlottesville. He did not say there were good Nazis, but what he did say is that there were good people on both sides of the marches in Charlottesville. This was simply not true. The people who were marching in Charlottesville around the statue, it was not a bunch of nice people who showed up to march with Richard Spencer. This thing was identified as a Unite the Right rally that was led by alt-right white supremacists. And when President Trump said this, it was a huge mistake. He knew it at the time. He apologized for it. Then he moved back in the other direction. I'm going to play you the full clip of President Trump talking about it. People are trying to say he meant there were people on both good people on both sides of the Confederate statue debate. If that's what he had said, I would have not only had no problem with it, I would have agreed with it. But that's not really what he said. What he said is there were good people marching. He was specifically referring to that Friday night. So here's what the president said.
You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name.
Okay, so that last comment, people are now taking that out of context on the right and suggesting that Trump was not talking about the protesters who showed up. He was talking about writ large Confederate statues. Okay, that is not accurate. Okay, that is just not what he said at the time. And so I'm loath to rewrite history in favor of President Trump, specifically because that, again, I want to read you the entire transcript. Okay, here's what he said. This is the entire transcript. I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame objectively on both sides. I have no doubt about it. You don't have any doubt about it. If you reported it accurately, you would say the neo-Nazis started this thing. They showed up in Charlottesville. Excuse me. They didn't put themselves down as neo-Nazis. You had some very bad people in that group. You also had some very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group. Excuse me. I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And then he moved on to his discussion of generalized statues and the taking down of those statues, an issue about which I largely agree with President Trump. But I'm not going to buy the rewriting of history just for partisan purposes. So that is not what President Trump said when he says find people on both sides. He was not specifically talking about the generalized debate.
Is Ben Shapiro having his rude awakening arc? No. What? You should be able to tell us by looking at this. This was a long time ago before he was a total fucking Trump sellout.
A proposition with which I agree. He was talking, he referred to the pictures of the violence. He talked specifically about the night that he was talking about. I've yet to identify the nice people who were marching with Richard Spencer that night. Okay, end of story. So that is a fair hit. It is also fair to note that the Democrats have then taken this and blown this up into President Trump has widespread sympathies for the alt-right. That is not true. He is disassociated from the alt-right, forcibly so. And he has fired everyone in the White House who is even remotely associated with the alt-right. I'm looking at you, Steve Bannon. The president of the United States has been more strongly against anti-Semitism than any president in recent memory. He's been more against anti-Israel sentiment than any president in recent memory. And the Democrats, as we'll see, who are calling upon President Trump and trying to label him an anti-Semite, these are the same people who are defending Ilhan Omar, an open anti-Semite at the same time. So I am not somebody who takes winking and nodding at the alt-right with a grain of salt. I think that was very bad. I think President Trump did that early in his presidency. I think he did it during his campaign. But that is not what he is right now. Now, with that said, is it a smart tactic for Democrats to use Charlottesville against the president? Of course. It forces him onto the defensive. Now we're going to get Republicans rehashing those comments for the next week. That's really not what they should be doing. So we're going to play Joe Biden's ad in just 1 second. We'll discuss the ad.
This is Ben Shapiro now on these statements, by the way. Find people on both sides, lie. This is one of the weirdest things. I don't even know when this got rewritten. I don't remember if this was a debate I did or if it was an event I was at where so many, I can't tell if they're actual converted Democrat to Republicans or if it's just Russian agents or what. So many people cite this. As soon as I found out the find people on both sides thing was a lie, I had to review everything I knew about the media. I didn't trust anybody. Did Anna say this? Anna Kasparian? So many people say that they were fully convinced that this is when the liberal media lies. And I remember I went back and I rewatched this, I think like 2 years ago. I was like, wait, what, did I see that wrong? And then I watched it, I was like, no, wait, this is accurate. What do you mean? None of the statements that Trump made around this exonerates what he was saying. Like everybody knew what he meant. And yeah, this is just like the conservative gaslighting machine in overdrive where they all pretend that this was like a big lie. It's a big Scott Adams talking point. That dude is one of the most mind-fucked delusional people and has been mind-fucked for like 8 years on Trump. It's actually unreal.
Under construction are now coming here, and they've dropped that because it was unfair what was happening. Mexico, they were building cars, they were selling them into the United States with no tax, no nothing, and in the United States we were allowing them to take our jobs and take our factories, and we don't do that anymore. Now, from a president, it would be a lot easier if I just coasted for another 4 years. I would have been an 8-year president. I had the best economy in history of my first 4 years. I would have done very well with this one. And I had a decision to make. Do I want to do this or do I not? Do I want to do it right? The right thing to do is what we're doing. We're going to get our jobs back, and we're not going to be laughed at. Now, I will say this, that already Canada, and I respect very much, as you know, there's a very strong man in Canada who said he was going to charge a surcharge or a tariff on electricity coming into our country. He has called and he said he's not going to do that. Okay, he's not going to do it. And it would have been a very bad thing if he did. And he's not going to do that, so I respect that. But we were just informed that he's not going to do that. Look, we've been treated very unfairly by Canada. We've been treated very unfairly by Mexico. But we've been treated very unfairly by every country all over the world. The European Union is horrible, horrible. And we're going to get it back. And I have a choice. I could just coast, and eventually there'd be a blow-up.
Did you ever watch Sam Harris's interview with Scott Adams about Trump? Wait, did Sam Harris interview Scott Adams? Did we ever watch that? That's got to be insane.
Down the road, maybe a long way, but we owe $36 trillion, and we're going to get it back. We're the biggest, we're the best, and I'm very optimistic. I have to tell you,
back in 2016? Okay, we might have watched that one point.
The country. Much more optimistic this way than if I did it the easy way. Yeah. I could have done it the easy way. I could have coasted. Biden left us a mess.
Biden.
He left us tremendous inflation, tremendously high costs of products. He left us a mess, but he also left us a mess with millions of people that poured into our country that are criminals.
Oh, Elon, we got the kid.
Millions of those
Yes.
people happen to be criminals. And we're looking for them all over the place. We're looking for them. And Holman and Christie are doing an incredible job. But he left us a horrible situation, and we're changing it. But one of the things we're changing is we're going to make our country really wealthy again. We're going to bring our jobs back. Right now, we're like a chicken that's being plucked at from all over the world. We're not going to let that happen anymore. But very importantly, and I said it, Ukraine, ceasefire. Ukraine, ceasefire. Just agreed to a little while ago. Now we have to go to Russia, and hopefully President Putin will agree to that also. And we can get this show on the road. We can get this horrible war where 2,000-3,000
young men
soldiers a week, every week, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 sometimes.
4,000.
I get the reports, and they're not American soldiers. They're Ukrainian and they're Russian. But people are being killed outside of that. People are being killed in the cities as things explode throughout the cities. And we want to get that war over with. So I think it's a very big. I think it's a big difference between the last visit you saw at the Oval Office and this. So that's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. But I think the ceasefire is very important. If we can get Russia to do it, that'll be great.
Read the mod chat about unbans emails. It's been days. Oh, I didn't even know we ran that anymore. I think I turned that off. I don't even know what mod chat you're talking about.
If we can't, we just keep going on and people are going to get killed. Lots of people.
Is Zelensky invited back to the White House?
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. President, you mentioned the ups and downs in the stock market. You said it'll go up, it'll go down. But do you and your tariff policies right now bear any responsibility for the turbulence?
No, I think Biden gave us a horrible economy. He gave us horrible inflation. And I think the market was going to go very, very bad. If anything, I have a lot of very smart people, friends of mine and great businessmen. They're now investing because of what I'm doing. Because long term, what I'm doing is making our country strong again. Financially strong, militarily strong, and strong if we want to get away. Remember this, we have wars. When I left, we had no wars. We didn't have Ukraine and Russia. We didn't have October 7th. We didn't have that disaster that took place with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And you look at what's happened there. We caught the major terrorists, which Biden would have caught. Why didn't he catch him? I caught him. 5 weeks into the presidency, I caught the man responsible for Abigail. And he's going to pay hell right now. He's a bad dude. He's a bad guy. But we didn't have these problems. I had no inflation. I had a great economy. He gave you high prices. You couldn't buy bacon. You couldn't buy anything. And also, I inherited a situation with eggs. The price of eggs was through the roof. Well, now the price of eggs has come down a lot. Interest rates have come down. Gasoline prices have come down. It's all coming down. It's all a beautiful thing. I can do it the right way or the wrong way. We're doing it the right way. And I have tremendous confidence in this country and the people of this country. Tremendous confidence. Much more so than if I sat back for 4 years and had a good time in the Oval Office. I want to look at cars.
I have an announcement. Very helpful.
You mentioned the Ontario.
I want to say, as a function of the great policies of President Trump and his administration, and as an act of faith in America, Tesla is going to double vehicle output in the United States within the next 2 years. Double.
Big deal.
What was that? What did he just announce?
This one I don't understand. This one I don't want, but that's okay. Without a steering wheel, it comes out next year, right?
Yes.
Explain that, please.
Yes. Well, the Cybercab starts production.
Going to double
in
Tesla
Texas,
production
next year.
Okay.
And it's self-driving.
How are their orders
We have
right
so
now?
much confidence in
Self-driving?
self-driving.
Self-drive. We're going to get self-driving finally.
It'll either self-drive or not drive at all, but it'll self-drive.
Yes. One more year away.
Before this event today, when's the last time you bought a new car?
Well, I buy a lot through my children because they run the company now. I used to buy a lot. I haven't bought a new car in a long time.
What was your first car?
The only thing I know is the Beast. I got a big car with very thick windows and thick side panels.
Is that going electric?
we buy a lot of cars. Actually, I bought this one for Kai.
Do you remember your first car?
The Ontario Premier calling you and giving you his decision about the electricity surcharge. You said you were pleased about that. Will you make a different decision now about the tariffs on Canada?
Well, now I'm looking at that, but probably so. Yeah. He was a gentleman.
Will you reduce it back?
He was a gentleman. Look, I said it before. We give Canada $200 billion a year. We subsidize Canada between all of the things we give them and trade. We give them. We don't have to have cars made in Canada. We don't have to have lumber from Canada. We have tremendous lumber. We have tremendous trees. All I have to do is unfreeze them from some of the restrictions that we're putting on. I can do that with an executive order. We don't need energy. We have more energy than anybody.
Now that there are no laws in America, how would you best go about completely selling out? I don't want to work anymore. I don't know, bro. I'm going to try to skip my tax payment this year. We'll see what happens.
Else in the world. So we spend $200
I'll keep you
billion
updated.
a year subsidizing Canada. We don't have to do that. And frankly, the way that gets solved is Canada should honestly become our 51st state. We wouldn't have a northern border problem. We wouldn't have a tariff problem. They don't have much. They spend very little, as you know, the least of almost anybody on military. And we spend the most of anybody on military. We have a great military. I rebuilt the military during my first time. We're going to have to rebuild it a little bit again. Not that much.
How many times do you have to keep rebuilding?
A little bit again.
Okay.
But Canada would be great as our cherished 51st state. You wouldn't have to worry about borders. You wouldn't have to worry about anything. And by the way, Canada is very highly taxed, and we're very low tax. We're considered a low tax nation because of me, because I cut the taxes so low. So the people of Canada would pay much less tax.
But just to be
it makes a lot of sense. And by the way, when you take away that artificial line that looks like it was done with a ruler, and that's what it was. Some guy sat there years ago and they said, "Brah." Well, when you take away that and you look at that beautiful formation,
wait, what?
Canada and the United States, there is no place anywhere in the world that looks like that.
He absolutely got this talking point from Putin. I don't believe this came from anybody in the U.S. that the borders between Canada and the U.S. are unnatural. That must have come from Putin somehow. Who in the U.S. has ever...
Plus Greenland.
And then if you add Greenland, that's even. That's pretty good.
It's going to look beautiful.
Okay? I'm going to look at this. I'm going to make a decision. Do you want to hear what my decision is?
Let's see it.
Okay. What's your best of these cars? What do you think?
Well, the car that I drive is the Model S flat.
Which is that one?
The red one in the middle.
I like that. Yeah.
God, this is so fucking cringe, dude.
They're gonna be using it more. I'm not allowed to use it. That's the fast one.
Just to be clear, sir, the 50%, is that going to go into effect on Canada or not?
Which one?
The 50% tariffs?
I'll let you know about it.
Okay.
But I appreciated his call. Whoa. Can I get in?
Get in! Have you ever sat behind the steering wheel of one of these? Of a Tesla?
You want my notes?
Yeah.
They gave me notes. I said, I'm not buying that. I don't need notes.
I'll take one.
I can take this.
We're going to get into this after Alexei service.
I mean, if you actually drove it around,
oh, it's beautiful.
I have no idea what the fuck this is doing. Constant combinator. Signals. Output.
Can you start it?
5K, 5K. Oh, this is what it's outputting.
I saw Biden do a test loop here once in the Jeep.
Oh my god. Is he gonna drive? He's like, wait, how do you go forward again?
Mr. President talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country. Yeah, dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists. I will do that. I'm going to stop it.
Oh. He just wanted to check out the sick display? Is that?
I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American governments and other governments, but American.
Oh yeah, wait, why don't I just connect this right to the tank? I'm sure there was a reason why.
But others are unable to do. When you do that,
Wait, could you do circuit conditions on these before without other machines, or is this new?
you get a lot of cameras up. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them. And they're bad guys. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities. The same garbage. Now we're going to catch them. And let me tell you, if you do it to Tesla, if you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to
That's not new. Why did I use? I feel like I had logic networks for these before. I don't remember why.
Well, I have a round table.
Sure, it was a good reason.
It's much more important because I want to buy one of these. My whole staff is everything. They're going to safely use them, and they can't believe it. So Margot, wherever you are, Margot, she's going to use it. They're all going to be using it, and they're going to have a good time using it. And if I can, oh, there you are, Margot. Look at Margot's right there. What are you, a member of the press? She's becoming a member of the press. Takes great pictures. What do you think of it, Margaret? Do you like the idea? Very happy.
Mr. President, your comments the other day not ruling out a potential recession.
Man, I sure do like this.
Former Secretary said there wouldn't
Great broadcast. Good stream.
specifically on the recession.
Yeah.
Do you
I think
think
this
there will be
country-
a recession?
I don't see it at all. I think this country is going to boom. But as I said, I can do it the easy way or the hard way. The hard way to do it is exactly what I'm doing, but the results are going to be 20 times greater.
20 times greater. Our GDP is going to multiply by 20.
And what do you say to Americans?
You look at what I've said over the last 10 years. Trump has been right all the time. This is the way to do it. We're going to make America great again. You know, to make it great, you have to have jobs, you have to have factories, you have to have... I look at
We had no jobs and no factories before Trump came into office.
He was the worst president in the history of our country.
The worst.
Nothing was happening. Nothing. He had no idea what was going on. Our country went to hell. And then to allow millions of people to come in that are prisoners and mental institutions,
asylums,
all of the things, gang
Haitians,
members, drug lords.
Did you say Haitians? He didn't say that.
We're shutting them all down now, trying to get them out of our country. And we're going to do that. But on the financial end and the economic end, what we're doing is, to me, it's the most exciting. Our country will be greater than ever before, and it won't take too long.
And what's your message to Americans right now, sir, who are worried about the stock market? What's your message to them as they watch it?
Let's go see the sucker. I did buy one of these.
This is bulletproof.
Oh, bulletproof.
Look.
I mean, look.
Of imagination. I think I have a great imagination. Yeah. Who else but this guy would design this, and everybody on the road is looking at it. It's amazing, actually. As soon as I saw it, I said, that is the coolest design. It's, do you agree with that, Brian? I mean,
I do.
It's amazing.
Very cool. Yeah.
You gotta
Oh my
give him
God.
credit.
We want the future to look like the future, and it's kind of what kind of truck would Blade Runner drive? That was the design idea.
It's really amazing.
What kind of car would Blade Runner drive? I don't know. What would Blade Runner do, guys?
Yeah. Let's go, Justin.
We should.
Johnny Blade.
Your thoughts on the market?
Well, we got the Cybercab coming out next year.
The Cyber Cab.
You're gonna buy one of those? We'll pass. We're too old fashioned.
So, Mr. President, when you look at the market selling off, that didn't concern you? And
Nope.
where do you see that?
Nope.
Concern me.
Didn't give a fuck.
I think some people are going to make great deals by buying stocks and bonds. And
Yeah, did you even stop and think about the deals?
I think we're going to have.
Did you say some people are going to make great deals buying stocks? True. Stocks on sale, full discount.
It's a real economy, not a fake economy. It's a fake economy. They were putting in all government jobs. You see what happened last month? We had more real jobs, and government jobs are way down. That's going to continue. Those are real jobs.
Real
Those
jobs.
are jobs that keep the country going. You can't have all government jobs. You have no income to pay the workers.
True.
And a lot of those workers didn't show up to work. That was the other
They didn't even
thing.
work.
And President Trump, there's this protest leader from Columbia University that the administration is moving to deport. He said that his arrest is going to be the first.
You guys are so obsessed with the deportation stuff.
I think we ought to get them all out of the country, the troublemakers.
Get all of them out. True.
If they don't love our country, we ought to get them the hell out. I think that guy, we ought to get him. I heard his statements too. They were plenty bad. And I think we ought to get him
They
the
were
hell out of the
plenty
country.
bad.
I watched them. I watched tapes specifically. I watched tapes. And you can have them. Okay? You can have them. And you can have the rest of them. Let them go to school. Let them learn. Columbia used to be a good school.
Used to be.
Now it's been overrun because of bad leadership.
By the
That's what
wokies.
happens to countries, and it happens to universities, and it happens to companies. And I don't want it to happen to a guy that did nothing wrong. He did everything right because he did a great company. But what he did by coming into government to help government from years of abuse, from decades of abuse, and you see that when you look at Social Security, where you have 200-year-old people on the rolls of Social. That's just.
I love how we just like tell the same fucking lies, lie after lie after lie after lie after lie, over and over and over and over and over
Large
again.
fraud. I think it's that, but I think it's also. I'm just telling people, this man is a great patriot, and you should cherish him.
And keep buying his
You
cars.
should cherish him. You know, I have a little statement. We have to take care of our high IQ people because we don't have too many of them. And we got to take care of them.
And as you guys look at the Social Security Administration and you guys are looking for fraud and waste and abuse, can you guarantee people who are concerned about an interruption to benefits that there will not be?
Yes, we're going to be very careful with any interruption to benefits.
Yeah, very careful.
In fact,
Like over the
not only by
Ebola.
tackling the waste and fraud in entitlements like Social Security, Medicare, can we actually preserve those programs for the future? Because with unchecked fraud and waste, we won't be able to afford them. The president's very dedicated to solving the budget deficit, which if we don't solve the budget deficit, we're going to go bankrupt as a country. If we go bankrupt as a country, there's no Social Security, there's no Medicare, there's no nothing. To sort of echo what the president was saying, what really matters is moving people from jobs that are relatively low productivity in government to high productivity in the private sector, increasing the true output of products and services. That's the real economy. That's what actually enables Americans to have a higher standard of living. That's what's happening, and that's I think you'll see the truth of that in the months to come.
And we're going to make it really much stronger by taking people that don't exist or taking people that shouldn't be there out, by taking illegal aliens that are on Social Security or Medicare.
Oh, all those illegal aliens on Social Security and Medicare. Yeah.
We're making it much stronger. The country will be much stronger, but it's going to really be stronger economically. And when you look at what we're doing, I've been called by so many companies. Like yesterday, as you know, I had a meeting with some of the biggest tech companies in the world.
Sounds like,
And all they're talking about.
I sound like Asmund
IBM
Goldfrew.
was there. We had a lot of them. Michael Dell was there. We had a lot of great companies, Hewlett-Packard, and all they're talking about is investing in this country. They want to be sure, don't forget, they're looking down the road 10 years and 15 years. They want to make sure we have a strong country. They're all coming in. As you know, Apple, Tim Cook, he said that he's going to invest $500 billion.
Billion. That's with a B.
He invested in China. He's got his plants in China.
Apple has never invested in the United States before.
Going to be building in the United States. And if I didn't have victory in that election, you wouldn't be doing it.
Nope.
And if I didn't say what I'm saying, and I'm being very honest, and it's much more difficult than just sitting around and having a great time. It's a very glamorous position if you want to do that. We could have kept it, but eventually bad things would have happened. This way, good things. I'm very optimistic about the country. I think we're going to have the greatest markets we've ever had, and it's going to be really fueled by what we're doing. You had to see these companies yesterday. They're investing billions and trillions.
Trillions now. Trillions now. They just got higher.
10 cents.
Mr. President, when you talk to Vladimir Putin about this ceasefire deal, do you think you need to have a conversation with him to get the Russians to agree?
I'll talk to Vladimir Putin, yeah.
When will
I
you
want to
talk
get,
to him?
look, that's the other.
It's 2025 and NPCs are still for Fauci mandates. If you're still afraid of a cold, even though everyone else moved on, you're more senile than POTUS 46. Bro, are you okay? No one is talking about this. Also, I'm anti-vax and anti-mask mandates now. I'm all in favor, okay? It's time for social Darwinism. Let's go.
It takes two to tango, as they say, right? So hopefully he'll also agree, and I really think that would be 75% of the way. The rest is getting it documented and, negotiating land positions, etc.
So you'll talk to him this week?
I think so, yeah.
So you have a ceasefire in place on the Ukrainian side. How close do you think then you are to a total ceasefire?
I hope it'll be over the next
I hope we're
2
close.
days. I'd like to see. I know we have a big meeting with Russia tomorrow.
Me too, dog. Me
And
too.
some great conversations hopefully will ensue. The people have done a great job. Marco Rubio's been great.
Social Darwinism, a term you picked up from the book? No, actually, but it's funny that it got brought up again in that book because the time I'd heard social Darwinism spoken about was when we were debating neo-Nazis. So it's funny that it comes up again in a book about the actual Nazis.
Steve Witkoff's been great. Michael Waltz. Every one of them, they've really stepped up. They are into it. They want to see two things.
What do they want to see?
By far, number one is death.
Yes.
Of people that aren't citizens of our country, but they're people, just like you. They're people.
They're people just like us.
We also don't want to give billions and hundreds of billions.
Are they, though?
We're in
Are
there
Eastern
for
Europeans actually people?
billion
I don't even know if they agree with that in Europe yet.
And there was no reason this war would have never happened if I was president. So it's a very sad thing. Thank you all very much. I love Tesla.
Which one did you buy?
What did he
buy?
Tesla.
And how does this work?
And I want that same color.
Are you going to put down a credit card? Elon, would you take a personal check from the president?
I do it the old I give checks. Sure. I like checks. Realistically.
I think his credit's good.
Do you still have access
I like a check better than this modern system of all of a sudden there's money in your account, nobody knows. I like signing a check, sort of.
God, he's so fucking just. How does he consistently give the wrong take on everything? Am I just a hater? That's a sign of being a hater. When you think every single thing somebody says is fucking retarded, that's a sign of being a deranged hater. I prefer checks over credit cards. Really?
But we're gonna hey, and I don't want a discount. He would give me a discount. But if I do a discount, they're gonna say, oh, he got benefit. I don't want any discount.
What about a vanity plate?
Yeah, let's see. Truth.
All right, there it is.
Does he even know what a vanity plate is? Has he ever paid for plates in his entire life?
He downloads his playlist. That one got you busted.
Playlist gets downloaded as well. You can pump your music.
Yeah. You can do it.
Pump your music, bro.
You can do anything.
Mr. President, if you buy a Tesla, will
Oh, no.
Tesla sales and
The dreaded accidental selfie cam. Oh, never mind. That was intentional. Go Trump.
When somebody's a great patriot, they shouldn't be hurt. He's a great patriot. He didn't know me from Adam until we met a little bit when I was in my first term, but he came out, he endorsed me very strong, and I admired that and respect.
Okay. Wait, what is this real quick? This is a true 100% real video, fact checked by an American patriot, but I don't know what it is. Wait. I'm sorry, I can't change the volume on my Twitter.
This is America. Don't get you slip.
Is this gonna be not safe for work? Wait, I don't even know if I can watch the stream. Hold on.
Slip.
Okay, never mind. I don't trust it. Too risky. Wait, someone said linkers. Here you go. I'm not posting this in YouTube chat. I don't know if there's like not safe for work for it, and I posted in YouTube chat. I don't know if my account gets banned. He likes checks because he can bounce those and not pay. Hasn't there been like electronic instant check, whatever, like, hasn't that been a thing for like 30 years? I feel like when I was a teenager, if you would write a check somewhere, they like scan it and it gets like instantly done anyway, no? Like the idea of you write a check and it takes like 2 days to hit your account. I feel like that hasn't been the case for like 3 decades, but I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure. I think I've only written like 2 checks in my entire life.